We come to the sacred space, made more sacred in this moment by the presence and attention of each and every one of us. Friends in the pews, let's take a moment and wave at the camera near the welcoming congregation banner to send our greetings to those at home. And now let's take a moment to turn and greet each other. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to this morning service at the Winchester Unitarian Society, a caring religious community devoted to spiritual growth, social transformation, and environmental responsibility. And as a welcoming congregation, we affirm the full inclusion of people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. I know we're all here, so we all know what I'm about to say. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith does not require us to believe in a dogma, a tenet, or a creed, and among us we believe many different things. We prize freedom of thought and open, honest discussion and questioning because these, we believe, enrich both our spiritual lives and our work in the community. Indeed, we can still today proudly state, as the very first minister of this church, Richard Metcalf, stated over 100 years ago, we do not regard even the best creed as final. We look for new truths and new statements of old ones. We maintain the unlimited right of free inquiry. But while our faith does not impose any dogma or belief, we recognize that it does call upon us to do certain things. And among these, we recognize and affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. In that spirit, we greet with joy and fellowship all who are gathered with us this morning, both in person and via live streaming. We welcome you all. And we are especially happy to welcome you to the inaugural service of our summer services of 2024. And today, of course, we have our annual poetry service. And as you may have seen in the latest issue of Highlights, we're looking forward to an exciting summer of lay-led services this year, starting with today's poetry service. And we hope that to the extent you're able to, you will join us this year for our summer services. Join us as fellow members of the church, enlighten us with their reflections on a wide range of really interesting topics. And next week, I should say, our longtime member, Betsy Bowles, will be our service leader. So we're really looking forward to that. And starting with Betsy's service, most summer services will be followed, as in prior summers, by a discussion in the parlor with the service leader amongst everyone who wants to stay about the topic of that morning's service. And that will happen after coffee and conversation in the Sims room. So, let us now open our hearts and minds in the spirit of worship, and I should say in the spirit of poetry. And I'm standing here because I'm going to read the opening words from here, and they come from Percy Bysshe Shelley's very famous essay entitled A Defense of Poetry. So the language is a little old, but I think the spirit is still pretty challenging. And here's what Shelley wrote. The most unfailing herald, companion, and follower of the awakening of a great people to work a beneficial change in opinion or institution is poetry. At such periods, there is an accumulation of the power of communicating and receiving intense and impassioned conceptions respecting man and nature. The persons in whom this power resides may often, as far as regards many portions of their nature, have little apparent correspondence with that spirit of good of which they are the ministers. But even while they deny and abjure, they are yet compelled to serve the power which is seated on the throne of their own soul. Poets are the priests of an unapprehended inspiration, the mirrors of the gigantic shadows which the future casts upon the present, the words which express what they understand not, the trumpets which sing to battle and feel not what they inspire, the influence which is moved not but moves. Poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world.
I'd like to invite Jeremiah to come forward to light our chalice. Jeremiah, are you out there? Okay, I think maybe not, so I'll do it, and I'll read the opening words for the chalice lighting. We summon ourselves from the demands and delights of the daily round, from the dirty dishes and unwaxed floors, from unmowed grass and untrimmed bushes, from all incompletedness and not yet startednesses, from the unholy and unresolved. We summon ourselves to attend to our vision of peace and justice. We summon the power of tradition and the exhilaration of newness, the wisdom of the ages and the knowing of the very young. We summon beauty, eloquence, poetry, and music to be the bearers of our dreams. We open our eyes, our ears, our minds, our hearts to the amplest dimensions of life. And please now rise in body or in spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 309, Earth is Our Homeland. So now we're going to have a meditation, so please settle in your seats and relax while we listen to these words by Denise Levertov, her poem, This Passeth All Understanding. An awe so quiet, I don't know when it began. Was there a moment dividing song from no song? When does dewfall begin? When does night fold its arms over our hearts to cherish them? When is daybreak?
We now come to another part of our service, which is part of the summer service, where we invite members of the congregation who have a joy or a sorrow they'd like to share to come forward and tell what those joys and sorrows may be and light a candle here in front of the lectern. This is something we do every summer, and I hope that people will participate. I should remind everyone who does come up that this service is being recorded and will be archived. So don't say anything you don't want anyone in the world to be able to listen to. Okay. In any case, we'll begin now. And also, I'll just say, if anyone has difficulty coming forward and would like to express a joy or sorrow from the pews, we will bring you a candle to light. So. And please say your name before you do this.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheila Puffer. I have a sorrow and a joy. The sorrow is missing our choir member and church member, Dennis Brett. The joy is yesterday the church was full of friends and family and admirers of Dennis, and it was a joyous event, actually, in many ways. And we learned from Dennis's son that a financial planner came and asked Dennis what his goals were. And Dennis responded, I want to sing, I want to swim, I want to go out for lunch once in a while. I believe Dennis has had a lot of wisdom for us, and he achieved his goals, and hopefully we can achieve ours.
So I'm Peter McEntee. It's Father's Day. I'm happy to be a father, and I'm looking forward to the birth of my first grandchild in late September.
Congratulations.
My name is Pete Baldwin. We have the pleasure of hosting our granddaughter. She's from Portland, Oregon. She's the last one out of the house. She's doing a reset. Her parents are separated, and so she's decided to spend summer at the Cape. She has the house, she has the Jeep, and it seems to be an interesting start.
Hi, my name is Victoria Ippolito. I am sharing a joy that tomorrow is the first day of our 9th summer of our neighborhood summer camp. We have 75 kids from the neighborhood involved. I'm pretty much the only adult. It's all run by middle schoolers, and there are 50 elementary school children down to age 2 and 25 middle school counselors. We've got a nice 2-to-1 ratio. And it's going to be a great summer despite the excessive heat, which I am now adjusting everything for quite quickly.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Hughes, and I'm from First Parish in Duxbury. I'm up here because my sister had a stroke, and I'm helping her relocate to a assisted living. So if my face isn't familiar to you, maybe in the near future it will be, because I'm really into First Parish down in Duxbury and social justice, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, this candle is for my sister, and hopefully she'll be on the road to recovery. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Light candle, don't forget.
Good morning. I am Betsy Bowles, and my joy is being in this sanctuary. I mean, where else could you spend a time like this? Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you hear what I said? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Betsy Bowles, and my joy is being in this sanctuary. I think it is the most beautiful place for us to be on a day like today. I'm back in Winchester for the summer. I've been gone for several months. And I'm really thankful for Martin and Liz, because their work is why we're able to be here. So it is a candle of thank you for the two of you.
Would anyone else like to light a candle today? Okay. Yes, we're going to do one more candle for all those joys and sorrows that are in our hearts and may not have been spoken this morning. And we will be doing this every Sunday this summer. So it's a wonderful ritual. We can't do it during the church year, but it's a wonderful ritual, and I'm always glad that we can do it during the summertime. And now I believe we have our hymn to close the meditation. Is that right?
Yes, we'll do
Hymn number 64, but remain seated, please. It's a poem by Robert Frost. We now come to the part of our service where we have a number of members who have come forward, a number of people, visitors, members, guests, people who have come forward to read poems. And we're going to ask them to come forward and read their poetry from the lectern. They're in order. And the first poem is to be read by Naomi and Jeremiah. Do you have a poem for us?
The poem we are going to read is in A Winnie the Pooh. 3 cheers for Pooh.
For who?
For Pooh.
What did he do?
I thought you knew. He saved his friend from a wedding. 3 cheers for Bear.
For where?
For Bear. He couldn't swim, but he rescued him.
He rescued who?
Oh, listen, do. I am talking of Pooh.
Of who?
Of Pooh.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting.
Well, Pooh was a bear of enormous brain.
Just say it again.
Of enormous brain.
Of enormous what?
Well, he ate a lot. And I don't know if he could swim or not, but he managed to float on a sort of boat.
A sort of what?
Well, a sort of pot. So now let's give him 3 hearty cheers.
So let's give him 3 hearty witches.
And hope he'll be with us for years and years and grow in health and wisdom and riches. 3 cheers for Pooh.
For who?
For Pooh. 3 cheers for Bear.
For where?
For Bear. 3 cheers for the wonderful Winnie the Pooh.
Just tell me, somebody, what did he do?
Thank you, everybody. 3 cheers for all of you.
Peter McEntee is next. Mike, we'll get to you. Mike, wait, Mike. We have an order, and we'll call you at the end, okay? Yeah, Peter.
This is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay.
I have the next poem. It's a poem by W.H. Auden called Musée of Beaux Arts. The title is the name of the museum in Brussels, the Royal Belgium Museum in Brussels, that has this painting in it, which is Bruegel's masterpiece called Icarus, Landscape with the Fall of Icarus. For those who don't know, in Greek mythology, Icarus was the son of the inventor Daedalus. Daedalus created wings out of wax and feathers, and he and his son were able to escape, I believe, Troy by flying out with those man-made, human-made wings. But Daedalus warned Icarus, don't go too close to the sun. Icarus did not listen, went too close to the sun melted the wax, and Icarus fell and drowned in the sea. And if you look at the painting, in the right-hand side, lower right-hand side, you see 2 legs, 2 little legs in the water, okay? So here's the poem by W.H. Auden. About suffering they were never wrong, the old masters. How well they understood its human position. How it takes place, why someone else is eating or opening a window or just walking dully along. How, when the aged are reverently, passionately waiting for the miraculous birth, there always must be children who did not especially want it to happen, skating on a pond at the edge of the wood. They never forgot that even the dreadful martyrdom must run its course. Anyhow, in a corner, some untidy spot where the dogs go on with their doggy life and the torturer's horse scratches its innocent behind on a tree. In Bruegel's Icarus, for instance, how everything turns away quite leisurely from the disaster. The plowman may have heard the flash, the splash, the forsaken cry, but for him it was not an important failure. The sun shone, as it had to, on the white legs disappearing into the green water, and the expensive, delicate ship that must have seen something amazing, a boy falling out of the sky, had somewhere to get to and sailed calmly on.
I am reading a poem that I wrote called The Ballad of the Long Forgotten Flower. Remember me? Oh, of course you wouldn't. I'm the long forgotten flower, sitting in the same spot in the same vase for years now. Last thought of summers ago, gone from your mind, not thinking of me anymore. Only if you just remembered, or just looked at me, or just listened. I was young when you picked me. I was so special. I was lucky back then, in the best spot, in the best vase, being looked at every day. I was so pretty, they said. I was happy. Now those are only memories, cracked and old now because of you. Maybe because you had better things to do, or maybe because you just didn't want me anymore. Oh, how I hated you. I had thought the best of you in those past times, but now that was the past. Now I don't hate you. Now I know better, now that I am old. Now I have good memories, and I even have bad ones too, and I'm lucky to have them. I am gray and wilted. My vase should have a young flower in it. So now, after I am fully gone, in a better spot, in a better place, this new flower should have my vase. So, to all of you, I have one thing to say. Goodbye, good luck. See you another day.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark Viola is next on our list.
This is a poem by John O'Donohue, but just a real quick intro. My uncle passed away last week unexpectedly, and he and I didn't have a lot in common as far as interests or age gap or geography. We were basically friendly, but never particularly close. But we could connect on one thing, and that's Chevrolet muscle cars. He had a passion for muscle cars, Chevy. I did not. However, I appreciated his passion for Chevy muscle cars. So I could engage, him in conversations about that, and we connected that way. And in a neat way, when I see a '68 Super Sport Chevy, I think of him even to this day. So anyway, so for him. This is On the Death of the Beloved, and I really need to have my glasses on to read this. Though we need to weep your loss, you dwell in that safe place in our hearts, where no storm or night or pain can reach you. Though your days here were brief, your spirit was alive, awake, complete. We look towards each other no longer from the old distance of our names. Now you dwell inside the rhythm of breath. Though we cannot see you with outward eyes, we know our soul's gaze is upon your face, smiling back at us from within everything, to which we bring our best refinement. May you continue to inspire us to enter each day with a generous heart, to serve the call of courage and love until we see your beautiful face again in that land where there is no more separation, where all tears will be wiped from our mind, where we will never lose you again.
Thank you. And John Lowy.
Hello. This is a poem I wrote because I feel the impact of gun violence. I saw the gun, the piercing noise. I must have stepped into the wrong direction. Sirens screaming, a crowd forming. The city lights still stare without blinking. We're in the quiet now. We're in the quiet now. Locomotive hiss. We're in the quiet now. We're in the quiet now. I can't feel my breath. I don't feel pain, yet it still hurts so bad. Don't want to stay on this course. I've got this urge to start flying. I've got to keep on trying to come back. Daddy, won't you come dance with me? Daddy, I want to dance with you. Daddy, won't you come play with me? Daddy, I want to play with you. Daddy, Mommy's in the shower. Mommy, Daddy's on the phone. We're in the quiet now. We're in the quiet now. There's no more breath, nothing to move. Finding light. I'm feeling light as a feather. Don't want to stay on this course. I've got this urge to start flying. I got to keep on trying to come back. Daddy, won't you come dance with me? Daddy, I want to dance with you. Daddy, won't you come play with me? Daddy, I want to play with you. Daddy, Mommy's in the shower. Mommy, Daddy's going home. Mommy, Daddy's going home.
So this poem was submitted by Erin Graham, who couldn't be here today, but her daughter Caroline is here. It's called Soften Your Eyes by Dawn Paul. It's what birders say, an instruction to stop squinting. Relax your knotted body, flesh pulled around your eyes tight as a drawstring, harking back to an ancient need to be alert to all movement, which, in this case, is only the flitting of small brown, gray birds in a leafless thicket. Relax the forehead, eyelids, the small muscles at the corners of the eyes. Motions best done with an exhale and the idea, soften. Then, yes, the birds come into focus. Tiny details, a thin golden eye ring, the feathers along the edge of the wing tinged with russet. How to look ahead now, the tense work of seeing emptiness, eyes squinting at loss, at all that will eventually be taken. How to soften my eyes, discern what is there, here, not concern myself with the wide open emptiness beyond emptiness.
And now Carolyn Schatz.
This poem is titled Mind Wanting More by Holly J. Hughes. Only a beige slat of sun above the horizon, like a shade pulled not quite down. Otherwise, clouds, sea rippled here and there, birds reluctant to fly. The mind wants a shaft of sun to stir the gray porridge of clouds, an osprey to stitch the sea to sky with its barred wings, and some dramatic music, a symphony perhaps, a Chinese gong. But the mind always wants more than it has. One more bright day of sun, one more clear night in bed with the moon, one more hour to get the words right, one more chance for the heart in hiding to emerge from its thicket in dried grasses, as if this quiet day with its tentative light weren't enough, as if joy weren't strewn all around.
And Mike Hyde, I think you brought a poem?
Morning. 10 summers, 10 years ago, I did a summer service on Walt Whitman that I'll tell you a bit about and then give you a section of one of the poems. But just to first note, we have 4 repeat performers from 10 summers ago, I see. Martin Newhouse, Peter McEntee, and John Lowy. So that says something about something. 4 repeat performers. Walt Whitman grew up Quaker, and it's easy to connect Walt Whitman with Quakerism. Not so easy with Unitarian Universalism, except I have a little sly way of doing that and saying that Walt Whitman is really the poet of universality. So if you just think of universality from Song of Myself, I think you'll get it. I've said that the soul is not more than the body. I've said that the body is not more than the soul. And nothing, not God, is greater to one than oneself is. And whoever walks a furlong without sympathy walks in his own funeral, dressed in his own shroud. And I or you, pocketless of a dime, may purchase the pick of the earth, and to glance with an eye or show a bean in its pod that confounds the learning of all times. And there's no trade or employment, but the young man following it may become a hero. And there's no object so soft, but it makes a hub for the wheeled universe. And I say to any man or woman, let your soul stand cool and composed before a million universes. And I say to mankind, be not curious about God, for I who am curious about each am not curious about God. No array of terms can say how much I am at peace about God, about death. I hear and behold God in every object, yet understand God not in the least. Nor do I understand who there can be more wonderful than myself. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God each hour in the 24, each moment then, in the the faces of men and women I see God, in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street. Every one is signed by God's name, and I leave them where they are. For I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever.
Thank you. That concludes the number of people who wish to read poems. Has anybody brought a poem with them that they would like to read? No? Well, then I think we want to thank everyone who offered poems by others and poems by themselves. I think the poems that people wrote themselves were particularly inspiring. So can we have a round of applause for everyone? We now come to the part of our service where we ask for people we make an offering. It's the offertory. I usually have a long introduction, but I just feel that after a service like this, who wouldn't give money to help support this church? So I'll leave it at that. There are different ways to give. You can give cash or checks in the offering plate. I think the order of service tells you other ways to do it. You can do it by text or you can do it online. And I hope that you will all consider making a donation this morning to help this church and its many ministries. The morning offering will now be generously given and gratefully received. Those who wish to do so are invited to join in the unison affirmation which is in your order of service. We gather not for ourselves alone, but to use our common power to build the beloved community within and beyond these walls. Recreate and reaffirm this covenant this day, to make justice flourish, to practice compassion amidst difference, and to embody transformative love. Before we sing our closing hymn, I just want to say I've noticed very strong singing from everybody today. So please note we have a summer choir, which is led by our wonderful music director, John Kramer. It's in the schedule, and everybody is invited, if you're here in Winchester on that Sunday, to come to the summer choir. It's not every Sunday, but it's in the schedule. So if you love to sing, join us for the summer choir. And now let us all either rise in body or in spirit and sing our closing hymn, a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. We are all our architects, number 288.
For our benediction, we have another poem, Let Our Lives Be a Prayer by Joel Miller. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through its storms. Please join me in reading the words in your order of service for extinguishing the chalice.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Today's service is ended, but our life of service continues. Please join us in the Sims room behind the worship, right here, back there, for coffee and refreshments. And then we're going to have a brief meeting in the parlor, Liz and I, with those who are leading summer services, to answer any questions and to discuss a little further preparation for your service. Okay? Go in peace.